North Korea has been like this black hole.
That's what it looks like, an island without electricity in one of the brightest parts of the world.
North Korea is probably the hardest intelligence target of all.
They are putting together a program to keep intelligence assets focused on North Korea.
As far as information is concerned, they want to keep it hermetically sealed.
It's just basically a catalog of the American imperialists' transgressions on the Korean Peninsula over the years. It's quite an amazing anti-American document. Journalists are not often adequately trained to do diplomacy or espionage or intelligence, although sometimes it feels like what we do is very similar. The research, building contacts and sources, but we're not trained for it. I've been traveling there for 10 years. I also was the first American so many North Koreans met, so I felt the burden of representing my country. Of course, I don't look like a typical American according to their propaganda. That was something that helped me because I didn't look like their stereotypes and their caricatures. I mean, we think that we have caricatures of North Koreans. Well, they have caricatures of Americans as well, and I didn't look like it. But that also was an opportunity for me to explain that Americans do include people of Korean ancestry and people of all kinds of ancestry. So it was interesting what I used in terms of the diversity of America to try to win the North Koreans over. I became the first American journalist who was allowed to become one of the local press corps. So I felt like I had to play the role of a diplomat, and I had to do a lot of negotiations. I would say that 90% of my time was spent negotiating. It is the most challenging assignment for a journalist. While we were not under fire in terms of bombs, we were under surveillance. That is a different kind of warfare. It is psychological. One of the things I like to do when I go to North Korea is to pick up their propaganda, and primarily propaganda in Korean, to see how it's being conveyed to the North Koreans. These are the type of books that most foreign journalists wouldn't know to bring back because they're in Korean. But it helps me to understand how they're using the Pueblo for their propaganda.
The situation of the captured ship USS Pueblo, as grave as it was, must be handled with restraint.
January of 1968, the US military had sent a spy ship, a very small, reconfigured ship, to the waters off North Korea's east coast to see what kind of naval activity North Korea was up to, and also to see what kind of activity the Soviet Union was up to in those waters. The crew of 83, well 82, because one of them did die in the fight, they were in North Korean captivity for 11 months while these negotiations for the release dragged on. 11 months that they say was just pure literal torture, where they were beaten, kept in extremely harsh conditions. I'm sure that these crew members went through extended periods of PTSD, and then to come back to a country that wasn't interested in their ordeal over these years must have been emotionally exhausting as well.
This is the pieces of that bullet.
The ship itself serves as a war trophy, but you realize everything in there is like a totem to anti-Americanism. Everything has been kept and preserved. You cannot help as an American but just get chills up your spine. I look at this whole standoff with the Pueblo a little bit differently now than I may have in the past. They are using the incident from 50 years ago to show how Kim Il-sung dealt with the United States. They're going to make a direct connection between that and what Kim Jong-un is doing today with President Trump.